Mr. Tim Branyan, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, Rob. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, we have a lot of things in common. I don't know if you realize this.
Not yet.
I know, right? I was reading your profile. It's like a dating profile, but for podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
But we're both from the Midwest. I grew up in Ohio. I'm out in Denver now, so we're both from the Midwest. You started multi-million-dollar companies. I've started multi-dollar companies. So we have a lot in common. I don't know if I just wanted to put that out there.
No, it's great. Well, Midwest, I mean, already we're friends, and we've got that in common.
We both
and multi-dollars, those add up.
So
you're well on your way.
Right.
That's how you do it.
Right.
You can make one, you can make $1 million.
Right. I hear the phrase like you can't go broke taking a profit, but I'm like, you can stay pretty poor still. But we could both walk into any basketball gym right now and probably be the best shooters in most places. But you being from Indiana, I just assume if we walked into a gym, I'm like, he's going to shoot at least 50% from behind the 3-point line.
You would pick me up on the team. No, I dig that. Yeah, and it's funny, like everywhere. I've traveled around the United States a little bit now, but it's like when you come out here to where I live and in the Midwest, everybody's got a basketball court like in their yard, in their driveway, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that was uncommon until later in life. I thought everybody played basketball like we did.
It's just like the rite of passage. Like I grew up there in Northwest Ohio. That's all we did.
Mm-hmm.
So when you come out to Colorado, I guess I used to coach basketball out here during, high school basketball. And the kids are like, hey, I can't make, practice on Saturday. We're going up to the mountains. Like, for what? Like, is there a gym up there I'm not aware of? Like, what's going on?
Right.
Like, no, we're skiing. I'm like, oh.
So yeah, all my solo sport friends, they come out of like the West Coast. Like my business partner Logan is a fantastic skateboarder.
Yeah.
And there's no way, like I think we went out to a skate park one time. I was with him and he was trying to get me to drop in, and it's like, no way. But then you're out there and there's like little 4-year-old kids, 5-year-old kids that are just shredding.
Oh, my friend was trying to teach me how to snowboard. It was brutal.
Painful.
Oh man. Yeah. The amount of like air getting knocked out of your lungs is, I could hear them on the lift above me laughing.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you see little 4 or 5-year-olds just whipping right down the mountain, and you're just like, I'm just trying not to have an insurance claim. That's all.
Yeah, that is not me. I was an athlete growing up, but man, and I've never done normal skiing, normal skiing. I've tried to do snowboarding, and I just was like, on my butt pretty much the whole time.
Yeah, I was told it takes about 3 days to get good at snowboarding. If you consistently up there on the mountain, and it takes about a half day to get good at skiing. I'm like, why did I try snowboarding? This.
See, I think I would have loved hockey. Like if we had hockey here in the Midwest, that's probably my favorite sport to watch in person thus far. Is a hockey game. It's just it was one of the coolest experiences. We were like front row. It's St. Louis Blues game. I remember that, and it was just awesome to see it. Like the TV doesn't do hockey,
right?
Do justice. Then we don't really do that in the Midwest either, do we?
I mean, it depends on where, but like the farther north in the Midwest, I don't know when you start. Is Wisconsin and Minnesota considered Midwest?
Where's the line?
I don't know. It's like, but then, so you ever tried lacrosse? Because like that's like the non-ice version of hockey.
Right. I had buddies that played it when I was in the military. I had specifically a buddy. His name's RJ that played lacrosse, and that was like my first exposure to lacrosse. Was like I think I was like 18 years old, and I'd never heard of it up to that point. So no, I never played. But he was all about it.
That's the game. If I think I knew about it when I was younger, I probably would have gotten into.
Yeah,
but I just hockey's was just too expensive or too much work. Like all the ice times at 4 a.m, and that was not going to happen.
I still don't know the rules to lacrosse. I think I got a baseline understanding. It's like hockey on grass, right? Like that's probably the easiest way. But like as far as like fouling, like what's a foul? Because it looks like they're kind of rough out there.
Yeah.
Like where's out of bounds? Is there?
So here's the interesting thing with out of bounds in lacrosse. I learned because I was watching this kid from our church played, and he's like 10, and I was like, he's playing like right after church near a park near us. I'm gonna go. Let's go. And so I'm asking the parents all these questions, and I'm like, this is what it's like when my girlfriend sits next to me and now wife at a time, when we go to a basketball game. And she knew a lot about basketball going in, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hey, they're doing, this is a backdoor screen that they're running, blah, 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 and
Sure.
so we're watching lacrosse. I'm like, if you get the ball, like if the ball goes out of bounds or whatever they call that hard plastic circular thing, I'm assuming it's a ball,
mm-hmm.
is it's the closest person to get it.
Right.
It's not like, oh, it went off of Tim, it's our ball. It's, oh no, Tim was closer to it, he can go get it, and the ball's back in play.
Anyone. Huh.
And you're just like,
yeah. See, I would have to watch. I would be the person asking questions. I've never been to a lacrosse game yet. I just learned how to play racquetball like last year.
Oh yeah.
Like I was the guy previously that would just like go in there. I remember growing up and going to the YMCA and just smacking the ball as hard as I can.
Yep.
And, rattles around, or we end up trying to like hit the other person with the ball.
Whenever I ask you to go play racquetball, it's like, who's going to get the most bruises?
It's like a pastime thing though. But finally, I got my moment. An older friend of mine, he's actually in the tech space too, broke it down to me and explained the rules. And I was like, this is no wonder people are in here. Like, there's a waiting line to play. This is awesome. But I feel like, the old guys need to give that knowledge away to us young guys. So they
don't want it too much. They don't want you out there too early.
Right.
Have you ever tried pickleball?
I love that too. So I've only done it a few times because the guys and gals that play where I live, they're up like super like 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Like they have pickleball tournaments or it's like a private club at the YMCA.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've earned my right yet.
You don't want to be the new guy out there ruining their flow.
Right. I mean, some of them are really good too, which I like the competition, like especially the racquetball guys. And the thing is, like I'm 30 years old, but I get out there and I thought I was gonna be a contender with some of the really old guys.
Oh yeah.
I say really old. They're like late 50s. Some of them are 60s. And they're so skilled with like their placement of the ball. You can tell they're seasoned. They've played a long time. So they just wear me out. Like I'm running all over the place and they're just setting up these perfect hits. It's a lot of fun.
I played tennis with this guy and I was in my 30s at the time, early 30s. And I just picked up tennis, but I was like the basketball guy that could go play. I mean, like athletic enough and big enough. You're like, I can, if I go to the net, it's going to be hard for you to get it over me at least.
Right.
And this guy, he had to be, if he wasn't 70, he was really close. His name was Ed. I still remember playing in singles against him once. And then I was up like 4-2 on him in a set. And I'm just like, yes. My buddy John's on the other court. I'm like, John, I'm up 4-2 on Ed. He's just like, he poked the bear.
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? He goes, he's taking his warm-up jacket off now. I didn't win another game.
Ed
I was running lines harder than I ever ran in basketball. He's running me left to right.
Yep.
I was done. But
it sounds like we had a similar experience.
Right? No, it's incredible. So tell me a little bit about what you do. We connected pretty quick. One of those sites you started was True Fans with a Z. And what tell me about that and a little bit about your background.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I can start just kind of we got into sports. I'll give everybody kind of a quick intro. My name's Tim Branyan. I am the founder of a platform called TrueFans.com. I've been in the tech space for a little over 8.5, 9 years now. Okay. Before any of all that, I was in the military. Okay. So early up, it's the smartest thing I did as a young guy. I appreciate it. And real quick, for you, pursuing this podcast thing, and anybody out there who's an entrepreneur or pursuing their freedoms, and their ideal lifestyle, like that's the biggest salute or thank you to any veteran. Truly, I mean that. And it's just awesome to see that, right? Like a lot of people give up on their dreams, or a lot of people never even try to go out and do something. And so for the courageous few that do, I mean, that's awesome. So salute to you and everybody else out there that's listening right now that's had the bravery to go do that. I did the military. I grew up a knucklehead. I was just kind of a reflection of everybody else that I was hanging around with, and none of us were going anywhere real fast. We already established, and I grew up here in the Midwest. Not a whole lot of opportunities around here in my area, unless you get into like blue collar work. You want to go work on an assembly line. Nothing wrong with any of that. It's just, for me, I think growing up, I had a vendetta against it. It's like, nah, I'm not gonna do that. There's a few things. in my head that I was never going to do.
What do you think built that vendetta against, like, say that?
I don't know. I just established this predisposition in my head that if I did that, then I was selling myself short, or I was like, and there were two things specifically that I remember. One was the assembly line at Chrysler. And again, not knocking any of that. And then like McDonald's, if I worked at McDonald's, then I was just going to consider myself like I didn't make it. Like, and it's such a bad perspective, but I'm taking you back to 16, 17-year-old Tim.
Yeah.
So, long story short, I got into trouble, again, making dumb decisions. And I was like, man, restlessness and discontent has always been this start to change in my life. That's been like this pattern. So at that point, it's like the military made the most sense. And it was a real primitive thought. I was like, okay, if I do this, love it or hate it, 4 to 6 years, I can have a really great resume that I could get a job with. And, and I looked at some patterns from people I went to school with, and it's like, okay, these guys seem like they're doing well. These guys seem like maybe they're just putting on weight and they're broke. And it was just, again, my analysis, real general.
Yeah.
And, so I made the decision. I was nervous, just like I think anybody else, they're being honest, would say that they were. They're scared. It's the unknown, join the military. And I went, and I got initially when I had joined, I was initially thinking about all the benefits and things that I could get from it. It's being transparent. And afterwards, I found out that it gave me a lot more than I could ever repay it with, truly. So I made friends all over the world. I went to good places and bad places. I've been to Iraq. I flew over Afghanistan. And I grew up really quick, but it gave me a sense of, duty. I played a position in the mission as a young person, and then had a lot of opportunities and a lot of responsibilities. Mm-hmm. So it forced me to grow up pretty quick.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't change it for the world. My experience in the military. Long story short, I left the service, and I went to college for about 2 semesters, got super burnout. Again, restlessness and discontent. I had heard that you could make a lot of money working overseas. So I jumped at the chance to do contracting, doing a very similar work to what I did in the military.
What kind of work did you do in the military, if you don't mind me asking?
So I kept people and stuff safe initially. So I was a military police officer. In the Air Force, which was my branch of service, that starts out really doing entry-level stuff like gatekeeping. Mm-hmm. You protect, entry and exit of personnel and properties going through various areas of the installation. Then I graduated. I was a good troop. I was a good human being in general, and I listened and I scored pretty well on some tests. So I was able to do other things. So some of those things were personnel security detail. I was a cool guy that wore khaki pants and made sure people got to where they needed to go. I worked on systems like, I don't know if I can even say that system, but I worked in an area where I was kind of like Star Trek, a lot of computers around. And I would
So you're saying you did not work at Area 51?
No, I did not.
I get it. Like, wink twice.
Yeah, no, I nothing too crazy like that. I just don't know what I should disclose. But I worked on systems that basically, if something happened, I could notify the right people, and they could put things in place that needed to be in place in order to orchestrate, a quick response checklist. Yeah. So a lot of interesting little components there. And that was really my first exposure to like high level technology. Okay. A lot of it mixed software with like physical security software, like actual components and hardware. And I loved it. It's like, man, this is really fun. You can tinker on things. You can, manipulate different systems and such to have it, work the way that you need it to, or, enunciate better. And anyway, so my military life was really cool. And then my contract life was really cool. Was no way to live a life long term. I got to the point at a pretty young age that I made really good money, but I was unhappy. So I hit that threshold quick where it's like, man, I'm not fulfilled. I was literally making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and I was miserable. Now, a lot of people would hear that. Like, what? How? Well, it's like, I didn't have a wife. I was lonely. I was working around a bunch of dudes. It was Groundhog's Day every day, going to work, waking up. Time was this thing. like I would read quotes about time or like find these memes or whatever, and it would like penetrate my mind and my soul, dude. And just be like, okay, I have to do something different. I want to own I would love to make half of this money. This was my head, my thoughts. I'd love to make half of this money that I'm making now, but own my freedom, like own my time, and be able to kind of control my day to day. So that thought ended up turning into a lot of different ideas and plans. Everything from like starting a hot dog stand.
What?
Dude, I kid you not. I have a whole green folder. I still have it's in my office of things that were going to be this vehicle to set me free, and like everything from a club, because I had some money to invest and I could give something a shot. I thought about a restaurant or a franchise, a hookah lounge, a club. None of these things made sense to me. Like as I went down the road, I was like, man, that's going to be a lot. Technology became this thing that made sense. I could create residual passive income. I could invest a smaller amount and limit some of the risk, to build up this digital service. It could be global the first day, the first week, month, year, whatever. And I didn't have to have some huge warehouse or huge building or huge staff to run it, depending on the service. And it started to click. So I know I have no formal education when it comes to software or coding, no formal education when it comes to UI, UX design. But that's the route that I went, and I just had belief. So I now own a multi-million-dollar software company with no formal experience, and I work with guys that are incredibly smart. That took some time. None of this has been easy by any means. It takes like a really discipline. You have to be crazy enough to not give up when things don't go your way or you fail. You have to remain enthusiastic when things don't go your way. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at now. We True Fans is one product. That product basically helps content creators get paid to post, similarly to our competitors, Patreon, Coffee, OnlyFans. OnlyFans is a really well-known one, and they've done a fantastic job, but we thought we could do better. The problems were content creators aren't getting paid enough. They are historically undervalued, and we wanted to put them in control, but give them a home that, if they didn't want to be associated with the adult space, they could apply to join True Fans, and we'd give them, this invite-only creator community. We'd pay them more, we'd pay them faster, and we wouldn't allow the adult content, so they could maintain their brand without the stigma. And it's just evolved from that. We got lucky in a way that we launched right before the whole COVID thing happened. And we became, a blessing was the fulfillment side of this. We became a life preserver for a lot of people that couldn't hit the road or that couldn't go to events or that they needed a solution. And we had just so happened to be, we were proactive about 8 months before the whole COVID thing decided to roll out that, we were in place and
very cool.
Yeah. So that's that.
Do you think you would have been as successful, say it started like even 2 years before that? Like say your launch was a couple years before COVID.
Well, people's mind. So when COVID happened, like people's mind transition, even like local business owners in the Midwest, like where we're at, a lot of people, everybody pretty much went, oh, this online thing, I need it now more than ever. Like they everybody just kind of realized that, or were forced to adapt. If you didn't adapt, during COVID, you probably don't have a business anymore. As harsh as that is to say, like, a lot of people didn't or won't, or they were forced to. So whether it was a company like building an outdoor patio to facilitate their luncheons and stuff, or it was a coffee shop deciding to take their coffee online and sell it digitally through the mail system or through e-commerce. A lot of that happened, and we were in the way of that, which is great. But honestly, man, like, I think like with what we're doing now, the paradigm shift of social media is necessary. Like more and more people are coming keen to the fact that their data is being, used to supply advertisers that are paying these companies. Facebook isn't free per se.
Correct.
Same with Instagram and all these. They are making money off of the traffic that's being generated primarily by the valuable content or the creators, the people, the influencers that are able to generate that interest.
Yep.
So the paradigm shift with our platform is it's more of a win-win-win. We have an infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
We're serving the creator. We're not diminishing their reach. We're not selling ads on top of them. We never will.
Okay.
And we're just giving them the tools to succeed through us as a platform. That's really it. So I think we'd still see success, but
so then how does the money get made? Like if I'm a creator, I go on True Fans, and you're not putting ads on there. What like maybe I'm just not familiar enough with those platforms to understand.
Yeah, no. I appreciate. So basically, let's even use this case right now, Rob.
Okay.
So you have an audience, and you have some people in your audience that rock with you. I mean, in a big way. They love you. They love what you're doing. They love what you stand for, your mission. They would probably buy your T-shirt, right? If you had a hat. These are what we call your true fans, right? Fitting name.
All right.
So if Rob was to launch a True Fans channel, you would give these people special access to, let's say, the last 10 minutes of the podcast that we shoot, where you go even deeper into depth with me. We take off the recording, and it's like for your true fans, they get to see, or maybe the beginning before you and I even hit the record button, we were building a relationship. Some people would probably want to hear that or see that or kind of see behind the curtain.
So like some bonus or exclusive content.
Right. Bonus, premium content, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
It just allows your audience to get deeper views into your content, or if you were doing giveaways, if you were already selling merchandise and things like that, they get special deals for being your true fans, your subscribers.
Now, do you set those prices as True Fans, or would I be like, I want to do it for $100 a month? I want to be highly exclusive, or whatever.
It's the controls and the features are totally in your hands.
Okay.
So you as a creator and any of our creators, we listen with the intent to engineer. So if you had even an idea with that monetization or that paywall section, you would bring it up to us or request a feature. But yeah, all that stuff is set up by you. There's 3 phases. You sign it. Well, first you have to apply because we're 100% invite only. But after you apply, there's 3 steps to set up. There's sign up. So they go through our verification process. They set up, which is just setting up their banner, setting up their pricing, setting up their content and organizing it in a fashion that makes sense to their audiences. And then they launch to the world, and we teach them some strategies on how to distribute to your ideal audiences to create more transactions and create more, community growth inside those channels.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's
very.
Yeah. And we're like, we're just kind of getting known now. We're just starting to hit we haven't ran any ads except for the beginning of this year. It's all been word of mouth, or it's all been just like, grunt level, going out and talking to the right people.
And where do you run ads at? Because if you're like a social media platform, are you like buying Facebook time? Like
no, we've got Google intent-based search ads right now.
Okay.
So when somebody's searching for various keywords, like we want to pop up and have some real estate there. And then we've got like one video playing right now with YouTube. But to be honest, like even our meeting earlier today, one of my business partners is here, and our marketing and that side of things, like the digital marketing, needs a lot of watering.
Yeah,
needs a lot of nurturing because it was non-existent except for like this year. So we've architected, what that's going to look like, where people are going to end up going, within our strategy, we think the best way to attract new influencers, creators, our ideal people, is to give away some really cool strategy, whether they use us or not. And then on the back end, show them the open door of, by the way, here's this, we'll teach you exactly how to manually do this on your own. And then we'll show you the open door with, here's our platform where it basically does all of this for you, everything that we just described.
Nice.
So, just free education, free value, and the open door really is kind of the idea of what we want to try to market.
No, and so if you don't mind me asking, like, have you ever tried any like non-traditional media, or I'd say traditional media now, like outside of, because like if like the YouTube ads or the Google ads or Facebook ads is crowded, would is it just too cost inefficient to say like buy radio time or to buy remnant TV time or something?
I'm of the opinion now that you should do it all if you can. If you can be everywhere, you can be omnipresent, that's powerful.
Yeah.
And that's what I see some of the really big guys doing is they're pretty much everywhere. And then they follow you around through their pixels. And then you see him over here and it's like, wow, I can't get away from this guy. I went to his website once and he's everywhere. Jeez.
Yeah, the retargeted marketing. Sometimes my wife goes, let's search this up. I'm going, you can search it on your phone. I don't want to see that for 30 days.
Right. And so, and I back in the day, I used to be the kid that would say, radio ads are dead. Or I would say, there's no value in newspaper or print. I think that's hogwash. I think that there is this beautiful dovetail groove between old school and new school methodologies that gives you additional touch points to your ideal audience. And if you can create a method, you create a system that puts you in front in all these different facets of who your ideal person or persons are, that's a good idea. And there's so many different ways, and there's cost-effective ways, there's more expensive ways, there's non-traditional, there's traditional. I think just getting into the reconnaissance phase is really important for any business owner. Who am I? Who's my ideal person? Where are they? Right? What are they reading? What are they? Where are they participating and commenting? Like what are they doing? And how do I get in front of them with something that I can add value to them with? Right? I think every brand wants to become this authority, but when it comes time to really become that, not a lot of people feel like they want to give their secrets away. They don't want to just like tell you their systems and processes. But I think that's the way you do it.
Right.
You
makes sense.
Become the Bob Vila of your craft,
Oh, Bob Vila reference. All right.
See, I'm not too young.
This old house. So and stuff like that. I've always thought were like the information you have, it's like you've gone through the grind of it, you figured it out, and you can share it. It's like I can go learn that or even learn it from you. But if you have the tools in place, it's like, what would I rather do with my Saturday? Right? Do I want to go do all this stuff, or would I rather go for a hike with my wife and enjoy nature? Go like, oh, this platform's got it taken care for me. It's like I can go change my own oil. I'm capable enough.
Right.
I don't want to.
You'd rather go play pickleball on top of the mountain. Right?
Why wouldn't you want to go play pickleball? It's funny when I used to, like I said, I coached basketball for a while, and I had players, and I had some friends that had these services that helped get them recruited, and it's just more of a networking thing. Like they'd send out their like a profile of their ability, their grades, where they went to school, what they want to study, and what they play, and then get them graded so they can see where they were kind of going to land. Like what talent level should they be looking at in a college level? And it was funny where they're like, these kids were like, no, we don't want to do that. It's like, it was like $2,000. And you look at these parents, you go, they're going to send it out to thousands of colleges. Like, do you want to go look at all those athletic directors, all those coaches, who's the, and follow up with all those people? Or just like have some guy go, here, we'll build it one evening, send.
Yep.
It's like, absolutely.
It's a really cool platform, by the way. That didn't exist when I was in school.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah, it's more for like those kids that are going to go play like the non-ESPN schools. Like if you're that good, we're going to go play at a Duke, North Carolina, Indiana. Like you don't need much of a recruiting service to help you out. You may need a guide to say what's going on here, but you don't need a someone
PR team, sports PR team or something.
Right now with all the with the name and likeness.
Yeah,
who knows?
It's cool. It's just an interesting little. Yeah, cool technology in that world. It's always anytime I end up like when I meet somebody, whether they're in an assembly line, whether they're working in document destruction businesses, or whether they're sports, there's all medical, whatever. There's all these cool things that I just find out about the intricacies, and I don't know. I deeply do nerd out on intricacies in other people's fields, whether they're cooks, chefs.
Oh yeah,
there's always so many details that go unnoticed most of the time. Like even as a podcaster, like your setup and what you use StreamYard with and your distribution methods and your strat, it's just, I'm weird.
No, I get that, because like I like the business behind sports a lot, or like how'd they get there, or what did I watch those engineering shows on Discovery Channel.
Yep.
It's like, oh, how'd they build that building? They did what? They had to overcome what? Someone had to think of that. Like,
yeah,
like I used to.
it's cool.
You see these big blueprints and stuff of projects, and you're going, who's the one in charge of this entire project to keep it moving the way it's supposed to move? Because at some point there's one person.
Yeah.
And you're going,
and then there's a bunch of systems, and there's a hierarchy of leadership. There's all these thoughts. It's just like, wow.
Right.
Even events. Look at the Super Bowl. Like,
right.
Good Lord, the Olympics, all these different. So yeah, anytime, and just the way that my brain works. I don't know if it's me just maybe it's natural laziness. I always look for like the revolving door, or what could be simplified, or if I even see somebody else like stressing or spending a lot of unnecessary time on something, I typically start thinking about a technology or solution to help expedite, or, hey man, have you considered?
Right.
That's just, I don't know.
No, that makes sense. So to go back a little bit about you, so you're a dad. How many kids do you have?
I've got 2 kids. They're babies. I got a 3-year-old son. His name's Caden.
Okay.
And then I've got a daughter. Her name's Finley. She's about 1.5.
Oh, wow. So you got your hands full.
Yes. Yeah. I love it though, man. I tell a lot of, anytime I meet somebody that's getting ready to be a dad, I tell them it's the most awesome, horrible, amazing, chaotic. Yeah. But truly though, I mean, it's wealth. We were talking about that earlier. Even before we started the live recording, I told you, I was like, man, I want to make good friends.
Yeah.
I want to build strong connections with people, because that's another wealth component that's important, and doing this podcast thing, building a personal brand. The other thing that comes along with that is like your family. It's the next chapter of life. And it's, when I got out of the military, I was pretty disgruntled. Disgruntled dude. I felt like I had maxed out life a little bit, and I was
You overachieved too quickly.
Well, like a lot of vets, they get bitter.
Okay.
And they get real grumpy, and I had some of that.
That's fair.
I was like Scrooge and Christmas. Maybe a lot of guys in general, we get grumpy. Holidays, whatever. You just get old. And having kids, now I get to live again through them. If you don't miss it. And that's a key thing. Like if you allow your kid to help pull you into being a kid again, and imagine and dream and play again, you'll have a good time. If you don't, if you're too grown up, too old, you're gonna miss out.
Oh, that's funny. My wife and I have just, because we got married later in life. I'm 42, and she'll be 40 later this year.
Yeah.
We've been married 1.5 years. Both of our first marriage, no kids.
Congrats.
Thanks. So it's like, even our marriage counselor, he's like, just so you know, if you guys have kids at the carpool lane, you guys are going to be the ones that are like, oh, you're picking up your grandkids. Like, no, this is our little guy.
Well, not if you keep playing pickleball on the top of the mountain. You guys are going to be those Bowflex couples.
Right.
You guys are going to look great. Everyone will think you just remain healthy. Mountain climbers, man, they always look real young. I think
we just go for hikes. There's about a few miles from our house. Have you ever hiked an incline, like where it's the stair steps?
Not outside of like the gym, like on an actual treadmill incline.
Oh yeah, no, those like they call it's a Hess incline. It's right by our house, and it's only like 200 steps, like literal steps, like you're walking up the stairs. And it's funny where you're like, I thought we were in decent shape. All of a sudden you go up it twice. You're like, whew. Let's just do it again, just to say we can do it a third time. And then they have like the one down in Colorado Springs, the Manitou incline.
And
it's like thousands of some steps. Like,
is there like a slide when you get to the top, or do you have to walk down?
You have to hike back down then. Like, not the stairs. Like if you did the stairs, your legs would be burning going down the stairs.
See, if there was like a slide, I might consider, just doing it. It's like, all right, I'm gonna get to the top of this thing and I get the bobsled down or something.
That's like, I don't know if you ever heard the term like hiking a 14er out here in Colorado. It's like a 14,000 foot. Like, I know they're at sea level, 14,000 feet seems like where you would fly, but we can hike that out here in Colorado. And so, there's like so many 14ers in Colorado. People try to hike them all. and you have to leave like at 3 in the morning to do it so you can get to the top by 2.
Oh, so it's like a trifecta? Like people are doing multiple 14s, or they're doing like
Like,
it
well,
takes that
usually
long for
114
one?
per day. There's some places you can do multiple, like if the mountain's just right, but like you're climbing up and you're starting somewhere anywhere from 8 to 10,000 feet. So, but you're talking about like a 4,000 vertical foot climb throughout the day. And you get up
Yeah,
there, you're like, oh, now I got to come down. And that's where most of the injuries happen because you're exhausted.
really. Yeah, that makes sense. No, I haven't done a whole lot of, Midwest out here in
Right?
Indiana. It's a lot of flat.
I started riding bikes out here compared to when I rode my bike in Ohio. You're like, there is nothing level out here.
It's intense, huh?
Oh my gosh. Like you could ride. I used to pick like one day a week I was going to ride my bike to work and all. Like I usually pick, I think it was like a Wednesday. Like if the weather's okay, I'm just going to ride my bike anywhere I want to go.
So what was the reason to move out to Colorado? Was it work? Was it family?
Friends. I just had friends that I
Friends?
played basketball with, and he's like, hey, come out here. So about like 6, 7 trips later, I'm like, okay, I'll move out there.
That's
Lived in his
awesome.
basement for a while, found a job.
Nice. So what do you do full time outside of like podcasting right now?
Software solutions, sales,
Oh, cool.
project management stuff.
Very cool. So we do have a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically sales.
So my role within my tech company, like within Logic Square, is primarily just sitting down with stakeholders, or whether it's a solo entrepreneur business, and I help extract, if they don't already have it, like a design or a blueprint or a prototype.
Okay.
And then I help them communicate with the devs as a middleman facilitator, and just help with the contract negotiation stuff. So probably really similar.
Oh yeah.
What you're doing. I help bridge communication. I think probably is.
There's a different language between the real tech guys and people that trying to figure out how to tell them what they want.
Yes. And how they don't know how to communicate what they want very, very easily as well, especially, some of your, especially like some of the startups, they may not know what they want fully. So to be able to help them choose the best back-end infrastructure, or, how to choose the right merchant processor that they want to facilitate payments through based on their short term, where they're at, where they want to go. Like all of that stuff matters early on. It's like, the type of foundation you choose determines how big your skyscraper goes, right?
Right. Well, yeah, it's interesting because like the people that are really good at their craft, like usually the engineers, they're not always great at communicating everything they need.
Yeah, not
because they know it intrinsically.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, how come you don't know this? It's supposed to be blue or something. You're like, I didn't know it was supposed to be blue. How was I supposed to know it's supposed to be blue?
Yes.
And you're just like, I would have known it was supposed to be blue. I got to go tell the customer it's got to be blue.
Yep. Ambiguity is the biggest, like that. There's so many people that have lost money in tech, and I'm one of them. The only reason I know this now is because I failed. I failed for hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars finding a team. Like I know what it feels like to not have the right team. I know what it feels like to go a year without a finished product. I did not land where I'm at easily.
Most people haven't. Like
if people could see my journey, they'd go, "Oh wow, I'm going to rethink this entrepreneur thing, dude." Like
right? Nobody notices an entrepreneur until they're successful, typically.
Yeah, and it's like, so ambiguity, uncertainty, lacking of clear plans is typically why most platforms never see the light of day. Most like tech build, especially, I'm specifically talking about startups, but this is encompassing big companies too. They spend hundreds, maybe millions and millions of dollars on something that never sees the light of day. And it's because there's a process. And I think it starts with, like, what I've seen success with over the last 9 years is starting with communication, designing it, drawing it in a working prototype through like Figma or Adobe XD, like a clickable prototype, talking to stakeholders, making sure that things we're crossing the T and dotting the I where they want it and need it. And then once that process is done, a lot of everything, all the building happens in the prototype phase with our team.
Okay.
Because once that's done, now we can quote it. It's cost way less upfront to get this prototype done versus a live environment where you got to change code, change walls, all this stuff. So then that goes to production once we get a thumbs up, and it's like, okay, this, that's how our process works. Other people maybe do something different. But yeah, we like to start with a working prototype, and then that working prototype becomes this is what we're building.
Well, yeah. Well, if you think about it, like even like if you're building a home or a more of a physical product, software is always one of those goofy things where, like, I used to sell fuel tanks, like tanks that would go like in the ground at a retail gas station or to connect to generators, whatever. It's amazing how many are out there in the world that people never see.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, but like we'd have to have a drawing and have like you'd have to sign off on it to go like I want this many openings, I want the openings to be this size, I want them to be this locations, all these things on this tank. And like because we're not going to start making it until you do that, because once we start making it, you go, oh no, I need this opening moved over 7 inches, and you're like, well, we can do that, but yeah,
there's going to be a cost. It's a perfect example.
Yeah, nobody likes that butt coming, and they're like, what do you mean you just can't move it? Well, we've already, they want the tank 8 inches smaller because it's got to fit in a certain spot, or it's got to be, can we change the diameter? It's like, well, we've ordered material for that size. It's not like stretching it in Photoshop.
So my job is to help them get it all out, and then decide on what this sellable product looks like. And most, again, just talking about startups, it's what's that minimum sellable product look like? Because most startups are broke, I've been there too. You're poor. You don't have any money. So everybody goes and looks for money and such. So it's like, to help them create this minimum sellable thing with the least amount of ambiguity and uncertainty that will get them to where they need to get into sales mode or distribution mode is the goal. And so that's, we've learned that process too. We've worked with clients where we didn't have those things in place years back, and it's like, ugh, this was painful. This got drug out so long.
Yeah, right.
So,
now all those horror stories are coming back in my mind. I'm gonna have to go either get a drink or go to my psychologist again, right?
Well, that's cool, man. It's nice to connect with another Midwesterner,
right?
I'll have to look you up if we ever end up out in Colorado. I've actually never been out there.
Come on out to Colorado. Come on. We got a guest room if you want to come stay. So
that's
your wife. I don't know if we have. I guess we have room for 2 young kids.
You got kids too, so you better be careful.
Right? No. Also, they're like, hey, I'm gonna be going to Samantha. I'm like, we're watching probably a 1 and a 3-year-old, and Tim and his wife are gonna go up in the mountain, and she's gonna be like, what did you agree to do?
Huh?
So, and she'll be fine with it. You're like, are they okay with the dog? Because we have a dog.
Yeah, I think I saw him earlier.
Freckles is like she'll sit on the couch behind me sometimes.
Yeah,
and so it's like I just heard her bark. I was thinking about getting a second camera and call it Freckles Cam.
Freckle Cam. That's actually pretty cool.
And so I was like, if she's ever over there, I can, so you can. I don't know if there's some clues in the background. You can see that I have a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Clearly, you have the water bowl.
I see that.
But the other one is the trash can on the table. It's like, oh, she got in the trash again. So
it's funny.
So yeah, but Tim, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to connect with you?
Yeah, so you can look me up. It's at Tim Branyan. I think it's on the screen right here. Tim Branyan. That's my name. You can probably type that in Google and get some stuff back. On LinkedIn, it's Tim Branyan. On TikTok, it's Tim Branyan. On YouTube, it's Tim Branyan. If you're interested in the True Fan stuff and learning more about that, it's truefans.com.
Okay.
And then my personal website is launching very soon. It's timbranyan.com.
Okay. We'll put that in the description.
So cool. All the tech stuff, that's logic-square.com. And if you're not from India or Canada, if you want to talk to somebody in the US, then logic-square.com. And like I said, geographically, wherever somebody's at, if they want to reach out, use the corresponding number.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah,
very cool. Well, I feel like we can keep going on and on. So
yeah, we could. We're friends, man.
Right? We're from the Midwest. We get along.
Yeah.
It's funny, a different culture when you go somewhere and you meet someone from the Midwest. Like, oh, you're not a vegan.
No. Well, people are always, I think when I go out to the West Coast, a lot of times people are shocked that I want to have a conversation with them. I'm not, a lot of people out on the West Coast, it seems like they're really like after making some money, and it's like they want to make some connections. It's like, dude, I want to get to know you. I don't really, you get a designer bag. That's neat. You You got a Ferrari? That's awesome.
I drive my wife nuts. I don't know if there's a hike or a walk we've been at. Like, I found the guy that did the inspection on our house on a hike. I'm like, oh, wow. Jeff, what do you do? Oh, I inspect houses. We're closing in a few weeks. We need somebody.
Oh.
And he's like, yeah, it's right around the corner. All right.
No, that's wealth, man. You need good friends. There was a time when I was building, I was really heavy building on different projects and focusing on my business, and I didn't have any friends. Yeah. I literally prayed one night. I was laying, like, sitting on the couch, and I just like had this prayer in my head. It's just like, yo, I want, help me connect with good people. I want to have friends that I can drink a beer with, hang out with. I need that.
Yep.
And it happened within like a few weeks. I met a friend that introduced me to a whole group of friends and like this charity. We say it's actually Wiseman International is the name.
Wiseman International.
Yeah, it's the YMCA's men. It's an older organization, and it's just been a blast. We do stuff for the community, but we also hang out, and it's the fellas.
Absolutely, you need that.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, Tim, if there's any way I can help you out, definitely let me know. Stay in touch, and maybe we'll do this again.
Yeah, likewise, Rob. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it, Tim. Thank you so much.